All right, hello, Forgers, and welcome to Metasight, a podcast where we discuss SolForge Fusion mechanics, meta, and maneuvers. I'm your host, Ben Thrum, also known as Onk, and joining me today we have.
At the weekend, this is Nate. Hey, everybody.
so,
Hey, Ben.
this is going to be our new series. We're going to be taking a look at SolForge Fusion, looking at some cards. In the upcoming series, we're going to do a four-part series for Battle for White Fang Pass and just take a look at all the cards, give our analysis, give an overview of what all the cards do, even the meta-defining ones and the most boring ones as well. But for this is kind of our episode 0, and with it we have a preview card for the new set, The Last Winter. So Stoneblade was very kind to give me one of these cards to take to share with you guys. But I'm going to share it with Nate first.
Excited.
And we're going to do this in pieces. We're going to play a little game. So hopefully I will do this correctly and not spoil too much on the first thing. So for the first time, Nate, here is our card.
Ooh.
So I'm going to ask you if you can guess what the creature type is for this card. We know it's a creature because we can kind of see the power and toughness. But
Okay.
tell me what you think about the art first, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, I was actually playing with Nick this morning and we were talking about metamines, and I can see more than the normal number of arms for a humanoid. So that looks like and because of the long length there in the creature description, I'm gonna go with metamine something.
All right.
Maybe part of the surprise is it's not a metamine scientist. Maybe it's a metamine dinosaur. I don't know. But
Yeah, it does look like
something
he's
else.
kind of doing something with a dinosaur leg over here.
Right,
Um,
right.
but yes, you are correct. It is a metamind scientist. Let me introduce you
Oh.
to a metamind warden.
Oh,
So we know it's a
interesting.
metamind scientist, so that gives probably a little bit of a clue. The next thing we're going to look at is what its stats are. And we'll just think about level
Hmm.
1 to start with. So, what would
Mhm.
be your guess of its its attack and its health?
Yeah,
Hard,
this is
it's
interesting.
a little hard to tell without the ability revealed yet, but let's just think about our experience and what you might think this would be.
Yeah, Aloyans tend to have, and scientists tend to have lower attack. I mean, there's some exceptions to that rule, but I would guess on the low end. And from the art, it looks like the Metamind himself is the focus of this. So
Mm-hmm.
I will guess 3 attack and 4 health.
Ooh, you were really close.
Okay,
So
okay.
this guy starts off as a 4/4.
4/4.
Yeah,
Okay.
so a little bit below curve, but hopefully his ability will make up for it.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
we got so let's take a look at what the ability is, but let's play a game. Let's think of 3 possibilities of what it could do with. Because we know what a Loyan likes to do. So,
Hmm.
do you think it has to do with armor, messing with creatures' stats,
Hmm.
or upgrading?
Armor and upgrading are right on brand for us Metamind scientists that we have seen so far. Messing with stats. Maybe. He is interacting with the dinosaur in the picture. And one other thing about the stat line is you can see from the card levels 2 and 3, they don't go up that high either. We're seeing
Mm-hmm.
look at 6, 6, and 8, 9. So whatever he does is probably pretty powerful. And I don't think armor is like enough to justify slow stat progression. So let's modify stats. I think that's a good hint there. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say he's modifying the stats of something.
Yeah, you're
Beast
spot on.
or
So let's look at
dinosaurs.
the first half of his abilities.
Mm,
So for him,
okay.
we have you can activate him
Ooh.
to give a creature -2. So
Ooh.
this is kind of like a reverse Tangle Sprout, mystical
I was
Tangle
not
Sprout.
expecting this. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
a surprise. Wow.
yeah.
Okay.
So at level 1, like assuming like a creature at level 1, the creatures with no abilities have about 12 stats to work with. So you'd expect like if this was a 6/6, it would have nothing with this ability. If you activate it 2 times, you kind of make up for that stat difference. So
Okay. So two more quick observations though. So I see he's a common,
Hmm.
and it looks like maybe, yeah, just an unforged or a forged creature, unforged creature. And then the scientist distinction adds some value too, so that might be hurting his stat line. But let's see. Let's tell me what else is coming with the card here. What other cool ability he has?
Okay, so I'm going to give you one hint, and I'll see how close you can get to what
Hmm.
his next part of his ability is. I'm going to say Omni.
Omni. Whoa. As a fan of the Omnis, I would doubt it's sparking. So it's got to be armor related then, right? So we're talking about a scientist that's, but it's weird. He's giving a creature negatives,
Hmm.
and then oh, so maybe it's like a choice. He could either, negative or positive, and maybe you're hitting your board with the positive and negative in the other side. Yeah, let's go with Omni Hardened. It's got to be 3 armor if it's identical to the Hardened Omni.
Well,
Uh,
actually, close, but it actually shares an ability with all the Omnis, or a similar
whoa,
idea. And this
whoa,
is actually a pretty cool one, and I think we'll have a lot to talk about. So, when you upgrade a card, ready it.
whoa. Okay,
Yeah. So,
some bridge energy. Okay.
yeah, it's got an upgrade synergy, which is very interesting to me. Um, so, just like the Omnis, it shouldn't be too difficult to activate this twice in a turn and really mess with combat. And just to give you a full picture of how he progresses over time, you get the -2 at level 1, it goes up to 3 at level 2, and then 5 at level 3.
Mm, mm.
So, doing the math out on it, you get some pretty good. 2 activations is all it takes to really make up stats wise, and you can really. And I'm so the thing I'm, I don't know how powerful this is going to be, but it can really mess with combat math.
Hmm.
It's going to be really good
Absolutely.
at that, and especially if you have abilities like I'm assuming it'll have. So one thing we know from the way the algorithm tends to work is that if a creature or if a card's going to care about something, you need to have that something in the deck too. So
Hmm.
we can
Hmm.
probably assume that there'll be something in the deck that has an upgrade. It
Hmm.
could be a synapse. We could have something like tech upgrade.
That'd be great.
I guess drone, but drone wouldn't really help with this because it would upgrade after it's already um, been like it won't upgrade till combat. So
Mhm.
we'll have to see how that plays out. But I can see this being really strong with like a synapse creature or like a necromancer.
Yeah,
It's gonna
absolutely.
play very. I think it's gonna play very well with Necrium. But what are your
Yeah.
thoughts?
Yeah, the scientist plays really well with Necrium, you're right too. That's the obvious thing. It depends what they reprint in set 3.
Mm-hmm.
My mind went to Tech Upgrade as well. That card is amazing, but a little underrepresented in the meta today. So I could see this pulling a card like Tech Upgrade into some of the top decks as well, pretty quick. The other thing was a little unfortunate here. Some of the Aloyan upgrading, like on Glitch Scout, happens after combat, so it wouldn't work well with this, where you need to activate to get the most out of it. But
Yeah, I mean,
um, still, really, really solid. I'm very impressed. I think -5 is incredible at level 3.
yeah. And one thing I like about this over different way they could have gone with it is the armor. Where this is like a permanent thing, right? It
Mm,
permanently nerfs the
yeah,
creature. It doesn't. It's not like giving. I mean, it would still probably be strong. It would be kind of like a hardened omni if it just gave the armor to a creature and then maybe it was a little bit bigger. But this sticks around, right?
yeah.
The armor, as we've seen in the past, does not. So
Hmm.
I like
Hmm.
the way they went with this. I think this could be a very interesting card. We'll have to see what else is in the set, but yeah.
Yeah, two other thoughts. I think we've seen with the spoilers Exalted or some other mechanic, but this is just pure mechanics that we know, and it looks really strong. Um, And the other thing is the scientist energy, I think, is pretty strong as well. I'm really glad to see more metamind scientists. I
Hmm.
felt like they're a little underrepresented, so I'm excited to see a Loyan with a really nice creature here and a readying creature. Another good activate creature for blue, which I think Drix and Epic Hawk are probably the two readying activate sort of cards that I
Hmm.
think of for a Loyan, and beyond that, not a lot of value. So
Right. And also like this is a little bit later on in the spoiler season, but they've already spoiled a card in Tempest that likes to ready creatures. So even if you don't have like the upgrade synergy or repeatable, you have that repeatable effect that we can probably pair with it. It could really just kind of, I think this is like, so this sort of negative attack is something that Aloyn was trying to do in the first and second set, but it just didn't feel like it was doing it at enough of a level to make a difference on strong enough cards. But this repeatable one is kind of in a different league than what we've seen so far. So I'm interested to see how it plays out.
What do you think, Ben, about the possibility that this could land well with a Terra deck and like keep creatures at 0 and on the board kind of clogging lanes and delaying? So you're upgrading, you're delaying the game, and then able to reap late game benefit. We've only seen a few decks do that. I've seen Burns do that, and just a handful of others where they'll leave the 0 attackers in the lanes for the first 2 cycles as much as possible.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. That's a really interesting strategy, and I think it's kind of what Aloyn is trying to do is make your creatures useless. And the way it becomes removal is that you're forcing your opponent to replace it, right? It does clog up the lane. It does keep you from attacking in that lane, even if it has a 0 attack or has just 1 or 2 attack, and it's not really a threat at that point. But once you get it down low enough, it's basically killed the card, right? Unless it has like a really powerful ability, and the majority of creatures in SolForge don't have combat oriented abilities, right? They don't have utility abilities. So this is not very good against a utility creature, but it is very strong against a combat oriented creature. And as long as they don't have, Uteran or Aloyan replacement synergies in their deck, leaving a creature sitting there and just gathering dust is perfectly valid. So
the other thing that this comes to mind is in set 2, we saw some thresholds, like after 8 attack, a creature would, like Voltaic Magus would gain shield, or Mustic Magatha would gain breakthrough. So this whole like balancing a board based on thresholds, if we see more of that in set 3, that could be really interesting and add a whole lot of complexity to a game that I thought was already pretty complex already. So it should be exciting for players if they have to not only think about the order of the cards and playing them at the right time and upgrading them, but also how to manage a board in a new way. This could be part of that, which is great.
Yeah. Well, so let's go.
I'm excited.
Yeah, I think this is awesome. I think it's a really, and it's a common, so we'll see it probably pretty frequently.
That's great.
So hopefully there'll be some good synergies in the set to go with it. So we'll just have to keep our eyes on previous seasons, see what else comes up. But yeah, so
thanks for sharing.
So that's our preview card for today. One other thing I just wanted to mention is that up and coming, we have the digitized Dust Up on the horizon. Both Nate and I will be participating, though we are not on the same team. So we are sworn enemies. But we'll go ahead and put some information about that. It's supporting charity.
Donations go to support the National Alliance on Mental Illness, which is a nonprofit. So I'll definitely be putting a bounty on Ben. I encourage you guys to join me, and it's gonna be a lot of fun. So
well, I will be putting a bounty on Nate and Joe. So we'll see how that's going. Yeah. So it starts on September 11th. We'll be doing bounties throughout the weeks. Once you get a certain threshold. So I guess we should explain how the digitized dust up works, right? So everybody in this digitized dust up is going to be responsible for, is going to be playing decks that have both a regular digitize and a betrayer digitize. And the rule of the tournament is you have to play it if you can play it every turn. So the bounties will force you to play both digitizes if you draw them in the same turn, which can be very bad because digitize does not say your creature; it just says a creature. So you could be. I think it's just gonna be wild. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So we have to look forward for that, and yeah, let's go ahead and we'll go ahead and wrap up this preview and this announcement. So, like I said, coming up, Metasight, keep an eye out. We'll be doing our set reviews and additional content in the next few weeks, and I hope to catch you guys there. If you like this content, please give a like and a subscribe to the channel so you can get notified when the next ones come out.